got the sign and threw one down the gut. He watched the first and then another. The count stood 0-2. He backed away, called timeout, and grabbed a wad of chew. Silence fell upon the crowd, and Carbacio gave a smile. He cranked it up and drove the pitch for 100,000 miles.
One of the things I think we all remember Joe most about is his way with the word. He had a special talent with the way he talked. And I remember, and it's amazing how that way of talking has grown into my vocabulary. Don't worry. One thing is, I never swore once until I met you. Because here at PCI, it turned bad. So, but anyway, many times I would, Eddie and I, when we were Grand Canyon together, we would share stories about Carbacio. We'd be on a bus ride from Provo, Utah, back to Carbacio. We'd always get back into talking about Carbacio and some of the things that he said, and going over some of his expressions, like, it's the first time I ever heard double bag hit. And I never knew what that came from. He always would say that. And I say that today, and Eddie says the same thing. You know, that's a double bag hit. You see it off the bat. Never heard that before, but he brought that out, and I've said it ever since. He had a connection with 9 for some reason. Everything was 900 miles. Everything was 9. 9 RBIs. His fingers were 9 inches long. And probably the story that you were talking about when you were follow, I was in a follow van from Phoenix to San Diego that day, and I counted 9,000 times I could see Carbacio. It was unbelievable. He kept me awake the whole way. But the other thing that was interesting about Carbacio is those fingers, those hands were huge. And one of his ways of getting your attention, because he was always telling me, you're not listening to me. So he grabbed me by the forearm, and his hands would encircle my forearm. Like, they go around about 3 times. And I swear to God, you couldn't get away from it. You try to get away, pull you back. You try to get away, pull you back. And when you really had something important to tell you, he'd grab your forearm, and you knew you were in for the long haul. He was talk. And one of his favorite expressions was, I don't want to get too colorful here, but he'd always tell me that I was a horse bleed hitter, but that I was a great man. He always was able to kick you in the butt and then kiss you on the cheek. He meant a lot to me. We talk about the way he did a fungo. It's like his fungo was made of velvet. It was unbelievable. My first time I met him was in the Winter League when Kenny Richardson was running it. And we did it at El Dorado Park and at South Mountain. We were just coming out of high school, I believe. And I showed up one day, it was just a group of guys, and here was the old man. At that time, he wore some Bear Bryant hat. And then Dan Green, he wore those for 25 years. I didn't know him from Adam, and he grabbed me one day and he says, I'm going to go hit you some ground balls. Well, he hit ground balls for almost 2 hours. I was only about 18 years old, and I didn't know who he was. But he had the nicest fun. It was unbelievable. He'd two-hop you every stinking, every time. And so you didn't have to work at it. And then when I was coaching at PC, I used to get mad at him because he'd hit these nice soft fungos, these beautiful, I'd say, challenging. And the thing was made of velvet. His swing was the same way. At times he'd jump in there to throw, to take some swings at DP. And my DP at that time wasn't very good. It's not very good now either, because I've too many years of it. Back then I was a little bit all over the place. And it used to scare me to death that I was going to drill the old man in the neck or something like that. And every time he'd get in there and I'd throw a pitch and he'd hit a line drive up the middle, I'd throw another pitch, he'd hit a line drive to the left, and I'd throw another pitch, and then for every time he did this. He threw the bat right back through the screen and walked away.
He taught me a couple of things. One was in geography and the other was in math. And a couple of times when things were tense and we'd go to Carbacio instruction and we'd ask him what he would do in this situation. He'd say, well, I'd look at that pitch and I'd wait for it to come and then I'd hit it as far as I could. I'd hit it over that mountain and I'd hit it over the other mountain and then I'd hit it into the river. And for all I know, it's somewhere in the Isle of the Azores. So I had to go look up where the Isle of the Azores was. There is an Isle of the Azores. Which, Carol, I'm sure you've been there on vacation. And then he also taught me in math how to get a 9 RBI base hit. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was one time, it was also an intense moment, and he was, I believe it was back in West Virginia, and it was about to be nightfall, and he said that they used to have to pull all the cars around the field so that they could continue the game with the headlights shining on the field. And I don't remember if that was the truth or not, but I remember he told me he was coaching one time. He said, I got a 9 RBI base hit one time. And we all cried foul on it. And he says, yeah. He says, I was coaching third base, and I held everybody up at third base. There were 9 guys standing on third base. When he knew he was coming up to hit, and he got the base hit, and that was the 9 RBI. Thank you, Joe Carbacio. Pat, Mrs. Carbacio, thank you.
Stories. He was telling a hunting story to Mike Shevston, so you guys remember him? Shevston bought this one. He was out at the lake. There was 9 ducks. We get the number 9. Joe's only problem was he only had 1 shell left. And they were very poor. Remember, they get crackers and milk and everything for a half a cent or whatever, and they spread it between 15 ball players for their trip home. God, he poured on. But anyway, so what he did was he just very simply took the shotgun like this, he fired, and went like that across the lake, got all 9.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to keep you here very long.
The finger! He's got the finger up.
You know, I'm a womanizer. They're just great. Boy, how they can listen to all the stuff you guys put out. I'm a bad person, but I'm not that bad. You've had a chance to rip me. The biggest mistake you made was you didn't get your rips in. You really did not get your rips in. Now, I do a better job ripping the umps. Toppy knows that. Kelly knows that. They've been ripped so many times. Solly's has been getting ripped for the last 10 years. Carruthers.
Get Ashley. Get Ashley.
Well,
He's not even
Ashley don't hear very good. When I holler at him, he don't get the message too much. But I love the umps. I've always loved them when I win. When I lose, I have a problem with the umps, but these are great friends of mine. These people are great friends of mine. I love every damn one of them. When I don't like an ump, I won't talk to him. If I don't like you as a player, I won't talk to you. I have 1 or 2 enemies that I can remember. 1 or 2. I think it's only 1. And he was in the prison in Florence one time when we played, and he had a bat about that long. And I was pitching. Anybody remember Bobby Slaughter that used to play around here? Bobby Slaughter played a little soccer.
Oh, yeah.
You guys remember? Well, Bobby was
Died
pitching.
50 years ago.
That's right.
Name someone in
Well,
this
then
country.
Well, anyway, Bobby was pitching. It was about 110 in the prison down there, and finally I decided I'd better relieve him. I was the only one that could throw strikes. And I said, if these guys hit the ball, they're going to get it right down the middle.
Right down the
See how
schnoz.
far you can hit it. And that's when he played in the old prison grounds, and the big high wall, and every damn ball was flying out of here. You know. But I have just a little incident that happened. I had 2 strikes on this hitter, wanted to get rid of him. I'm winning the ball game. So we took time out 3 times. It took about 7 or 8 minutes to deliver the pitch. Now, you guys have heard about the 7-minute pitch. I know you have. It took about 7 minutes to deliver this thing. And finally, I had a guy by the name of Rivera that caught for me that played with the old Juarez Indios. Now, that's not that far. Time out. Finally, he said,
Calling bullshit.
you hunky, SO, whatever, you have to make up your mind what you're going to throw, because if you don't, we won't go to Florence and get some beer. I said, the damn walls are locked, the gates are locked. You can't get out until they open the gates anyway. But I told him this, and I told him, this is for Jeff Pentland, the signs that I used to use. So I told him this, I told Rivera's this, I said, when I accept your sign, you got to be watching my head, because if I turn my head, I'm switching signs, and I'm going to throw this other pitch on the one-on-one pitch, see? So I have 2 strikes on the hitter. I just thought, I'll just throw him a curveball. And because the guy looked awful strong, you know. God had a bat about that long. He's a very big guy, you know. So as I'm winding up, I decide, no, I'm going to throw him my fastball. Threw the ball right down the middle, struck him out, and him called him out. I'm just teaching you something about the sign business, you know.
Sign business.
Hey, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. I know how to do that. Roger Snuff over here knew all of my signs, 1, 2, 3, right, Roger? Hey, 1 for a bunt. Coach, what are we doing? You're bunting. Bunt. Oh. I used to have the third baseman say, is he really? I said, what? I don't want you to get killed. Go on on it. Hey, this is what made the world turn, baby. When Don Hyman pitched me that ball at about 97 miles an hour, and I hit it up the middle like to kill about 30 infielders, I'll tell you that. He said it was a worm killer. I'll tell you, I'll kill somebody if you throw that ball down the middle of me. I'm still saying that. But you do it, I'll run hooky. But the irony of the story is a little bit more longer than that. Brother Smith back here, Larry Smith, was the guy I hit for right back there. Here's the guy I hit for, and there's the guy that did the pitching, and I got the credit for the hit. I'll tell you this, if you guys stick at this as long as I have, you will have a hell of a lot of fun. And the reason why I stick with, I do not burn out. Absolutely. Only one time I can remember where I hated the game. One time for one game. Gentlemen, I don't burn out on this thing. I really love this. That's what keeps me going. The guy says, when are you going to retire? Retire to what? Hell, I'm going to hit them fungos as long as I can hit them. And if you want a little lesson in fungo hitting, just get your butt out there. I may not do it exactly like Pentland does, or like Marty does, or like Steve does. I think Steve's a great fungo hitter, too. Porky's a good fungo hitter. I'll tell you that. You guys got to look around. A lot of good fungo hitters here. But one of the things that you run into in high school is a lot of the coaches do not know how to hit fungos, and they should learn it. I'm going to have a class that'll cost you $250. I'll furnish the baths. I guarantee you'll learn to hit fungos. I'll teach you how to hit not Pentland style or ASU style, Carbacio style. Not KC style like Pearson teaches with the one hand on the bat and one hand off. I'm a two-handed hitter. I'm a fisted player. Hey, I want to say this. I want to break this thing off. I really appreciate this crowd. Something to me that I've thought about a few times. Marty has even mentioned it. Pug Marriage has mentioned it, that we ought to get you out and roast you like that. The thing that I liked about this, no preparation as far as I'm concerned. I love every damn one of you. I've had conversation with you. Most of you have played for me. Some of you liked me. Some of you hated me, but you all came to see me play, and I'm going to guarantee you, I really appreciated that. And I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my cotton-picking heart, and I hope I can still do it 80 more cotton-picking.
Don't worry about yesterday, you worry about today, right? Guys understand English?
Joe brings a lot of inspiration to the team. I think the key is that he brings a love for the game.
You understand number 6? You're a good kid. You're one of the best, I'll tell you that. These guys are going to get 5 cuts apiece, okay? Then they're going to follow in. Then we'll do our base running. This is a good soft toss drill. Show off a little bit. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Just work around stroke here.